Alright, Evie and I are back with another video. As you can see, she is passed out after a walk. We'll see how long she stays there. And I had two ideas for how this video could go today. One would be just complaining about Festival of the Lost the entire time, and the other would be talking about the new exotics that we saw in the trailer today. I don't really know how much there is to say about Festival of the Lost. It's not good, and it's probably going to change to some extent by the time this video gets posted or viewed. Bungie has said that the rate on the Cypher thing does not seem right, so they're investigating it to some degree. Right now, it's either not dropping at all, like dropping very infrequently from activities, or you have to do some absurd bounty farm, which I found is the fastest way to get those ciphers to open chests in the forests. Once you get past that, the chance of even getting one of the new guns, or one of the old guns, is very low, maybe 20% or something out of those chests, and then you have to get the perks you want. It's not a good farm. It's way too much RNG right now. Those weapons are not even that good in the first place. So my participation is mainly to just buy the armor sets and move on for the time being. But yeah, I probably could have stretched that into a whole video about why it's bad, but hopefully they're going to change it in the next week or so here, because this event is a full month long. More exciting is being able to talk about the 10 new exotics that Destiny showed off today for Beyond Light in a new, very action-packed, very substantive trailer. I didn't quite know what was going to happen today. I thought it was just going to be a trailer, but there are more exotics than I thought that were shown off here, and only one is a reprisal. The rest of them are all new, but even that one is, they kind of redesigned the whole thing, essentially, so I don't have the video editing skill to like chop up each individual trailer clip, so I'm just going to kind of float the guns and the armor pieces above here and just talk a little bit about each of them. First is No Time to Explain, which is not a surprise. We knew this was coming. It's a pre-order bonus. There's a catalyst, I think that's part of the pre-order bonus. I don't know if this is the seasonal, like season pass weapon or not. I don't think it is, because the season is purchased separately from Beyond Light this time, so I don't think they would be advertising it as part of Beyond Light. Possible Hawkmoon is the seasonal weapon, I'm not sure. The most important thing we learned about the gun is that one of its new perks is the ability to spawn a little kind of gun buddy, like a floating Borderlands style gun that flies around and shoots bullets. The lore for this is actually that it's bullets like being shot from another version of the gun from another dimension, which is kind of hilarious and awesome. And the most obvious pairing I could think of this is with Arc Buddy. So you have like Gun Buddy on one side and Arc Buddy on the other side, floating around, shooting a lot of bullets. I don't know if this will end up being actually good or not. Pulse rifles are still in a halfway decent spot right now, but there's a lot of pulse rifles, so we'll see if this is actually kind of anything people want to use for their exotic slot. I'm gonna have to scroll through my article I actually wrote about this to remember all these. There is Cloud Strike, which is apparently it's like a wizard staff that got turned into a sniper rifle, which I find hilarious. Like literally, if you look at it, it's a giant like hooked stone running through the middle of it, which is awesome. And the perk is that it shoots lightning on headshot, so there's like a lightning strike that comes down on headshot. They showed that in the Crucible, but it's on headshot hit, I think, not just strike. So I'm picturing like what might happen if you like spam a boss's crit with that, and maybe that could do a ton of damage, and maybe that'll be a good DPS sniper for PvE, not just kind of like a clearing thing for PvE or PvP. I don't know if we'll be getting like tons of triple kills, like just if you happen to be standing near someone that gets headshot. I would guess it damages you, but I would be surprised if it would literally like just kill everyone in a radius around the person who gets headshot. That seems a little much, and that's probably not how it's going to work, but who knows, we'll see. And then we have the chainsaw sword, the Lament, which has a trigger on it. You rev this up, and once you have it revved up, you can slice through enemy shields, and then I think at the max rev level, like this will also heal you at the same time. And you can also do like the cloud, whatever that move is called from Final Fantasy, like the same move. So this is like kind of the falling guillotine model of Buster Sword, and we've seen glimpses of this in other promotional materials, but this is the first time we figured out what it's actually going to do. It sounds crazy, and swords are in like a really solid place for DPS right now. So if this could be some sort of shield slashing falling guillotine power weapon that could be potentially pretty nuts. And then the fourth weapon they showed off is Salvation's Grip, which is I think it's a grenade. It's like a heavy grenade launcher. We've seen this in a couple trailers. We didn't exactly know what it was. It shoots stasis crystals, I guess, and then it springs up big stasis glaciers that freeze enemies. And as we know from stasis, it can be blown up, and then those shards can hit other enemies and stuff. And I guess if you charge this up, it will freeze things in a larger radius. I think we're going to have to learn more about stasis before we know how this actually performs and if it's actually going to be good for that slot or not. It looks cool, like the effects are cool, but we kind of have to get our hands on stasis to really know how this is going to feel. Those are all the weapons they showed off. Remember, we still have Hawkmoon. I am not going to rule out them doing something like bringing back Icebreaker because of the ice theme. I mean, come on, it's too obvious. And then we'll obviously have stuff like a raid exotic that they're not going to show off right now. And I would not be surprised if there's a couple of things maybe coming back from Destiny 1 that they're just not showing here. So we'll move on to the armor. The Mask of Bacchus is interesting because it's giving hunters blink back, except now it's called shift, and it flat out replaces your dodge. So you can't do it in the air like blink, but instead of like rolling to the side, you will literally just blink over there. So that will be both very disorienting for enemy players trying to hit you, and also you won't be able to be hit when you're just invisible instead of like rolling. Like there's some perks that let you take less damage from rolling, but it's literally, you won't even just be there at all. And I assume this is going to work with stuff like reload and recharging your melee and stuff. So you could just you could be like blink, shotgun, reload. Like it has the potential to be pretty crazy. Obviously, this is pretty much going to be a PvP focused exotic, and I don't know how much use this would serve in PvE because I don't know if the AI enemies are going to be fooled by it. And I'm sure this sounds like something and people are going to be mad who aren't hunters about for a while, just based on how it looked in the trailer and what it's supposed to do. They got a second one called Aether's, I don't know how to pronounce that, Aether's Embrace, where it's a superior weighted knife. In the trailer it showed it bouncing off a couple walls and hitting people. I think it just has something to do with knife tracking, like the knife tracking will be a lot better, which is good for people like me who suck at throwing the knives. I haven't really liked using the knives or weighted knives since they changed it to like a wind-up throw. Maybe I'm wondering if this could shorten it, something like that. This, out of all the things they showed, this might be the least interesting one, but that's not saying a ton considering how cool most of these are. We have the wildest looking one, which is Dawn Chorus, a warlock helmet that improves burn damage and daybreak. This appears to be for the bottom. I think it's the bottom tree that actually does burn damage to enemies. So it's pretty cool to see that addressed because its top tree has been really dominant for a while in many ways. So now they're giving bottom tree something. If they significantly increase burn damage, that could actually be really cool. And I just want to wear this because you look like a maniac, and it's very awesome. There is also the Necrotic Grip, which gives Warlock the ability to poison people on melee, which is pretty interesting. Poison is not a huge thing in Destiny. Obviously, we can think of Thorn as like the only real poison weapon. We have the Monarch poison too, and I don't know, smoke grenades, I guess, kind of poison, but this seems like it has the potential to be interesting. I don't know if this will be like some meta-changing, game-breaking thing, but it does seem pretty fun, and I could see how you could do some cool builds with this depending on the interactions of the poison. And we have, what is this called? Precious Scars. All right. Oh, this is the one where it's like a shattered vase that they turned into a helmet. That's kind of, I like the way it looks. I think it's pretty cool. This gives you some sort of like overshield or something based on when you revive an enemy. This seems exactly like a Trials thing. So like it would be for kind of buffing your team once you get a res off in Trials. I don't know how useful it'll be outside of a mode like that. And somehow, in scrolling through this list, I totally missed the first Titan one, Fall Mantle, which is probably my favorite out of all of these, where it replaces your class ability, the barrier, with the ability to just give yourself an overshield at any given time, which seems awesome. Like, that's so cool, and I've probably seen the biggest fan reaction to this one out of any of them, just because that's something that Titans have always felt like they wanted, and at least for me personally, I dislike barrier the most out of most or out of all the class abilities, I just don't think it's nearly as useful as dodge or rift in most activities. I know there was an era where the auto reloading barricade was like really good, and it's situationally good in PvP for certain modes. It's so boring compared to the other ones, and I feel like it has much less utility. Overshield on demand, that's got a lot more utility. So I think this has the potential to be a really highly used exotic. I can see some sort of like, I don't know how this will interact with like the class where you punch them and get an overshield. It's one of the void ones. I can see a lot of fun potential with this, and just having Titans be like a real tank and like be able to take even more damage than normal and not have to stack resilience, because Lord knows no one wants to stack resilience. So that to me is probably the most exciting exotic, just in terms of what I'm actually going to be trying to use on day one. As a reminder, if you get any exotic engrams in your postmaster, save them, because at least in the past they have had the ability to decrypt into world drop exotics for the next expansion. We don't know if this is all the exotics. My guess is that they might be bringing back a couple Destiny 1 armor pieces, at least, that they're just not listing here. I went back and counted, and Forsaken had something like 12 pieces of class armor and then 13 weapons. I don't know if we're going to get that high. Like, I don't think we are. I still think this expansion is going to be somewhere in size between Shadowkeep and Forsaken. It's looking like it may not get all the way to Forsaken size, but I think it's still going to be pretty meaty and still going to have, a good amount of stuff attached to it, even if it's not exactly the same scale. I think there's still a lot of armor sets and stuff we haven't seen. There were a couple new legendary weapons shown off. There's a bow and some other things that we got a glimpse of today, but for the most part, I mean, I'm impressed with like 8, 9 out of 10 of these exotics, which is, I mean, I was not expecting to see this many in one trailer, and I think there was still some being kept a secret because Bungie knows not to give everything away at this point. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, or all the fun being ruined. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the new ones. In short, they all look very cool, and I am looking forward to trying them out as soon as possible. Maybe making some trying to farm some exotic engrams somehow before this launches, if that's even possible in this current state. I will probably not really be grinding Haunted Forest until I hear something one way or another about a fix. If they're not going to fix it, I'll just do my Tolan bounty thing. If they are going to fix it, I guess I'll just play more normally, and hopefully they'll drop more often. The ciphers are supposed to drop as much as Umbral engrams, so if they ever tune it to actually be like that, we'll have plenty of ciphers in no time, won't we? So until that happens, I wouldn't go too hard on the Haunted Forest, and for now, just stay tuned for more kind of info drops about the expansion, because they're giving us something pretty much every week, and it's always something pretty cool. So, all right, thanks for watching. Did Evie really stay asleep the entire time there? I think she did. She is that tired. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Take care.